I'm going to attempt to do a close oral reading of Dante's The Divine Comedy with the help and use of grok to demonstrate an idea I have found to be quite interesting and which therefore possibly could be interesting to others as well. The general idea to take books that are in the public domain, not only simply reading them with grok, as you might have seen done in other resources that are free, like by LibriVox, but also to interact with the text and do more of a close reading as we go through it. It'll also kind of save your spot as we go through it if we can save the chat that we are working in. So I'm going to just try to prompt Dante's Divine Comedy here. I'm going to turn on then the microphone so I can basically talk to the system. So it's given me a big rundown of it thus far. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to try to test out the microphone. Testing on the microphone. So I've got Ara here, hopefully, is going to be chiming in. And okay, so then I'm going to do a close reading of Dante's The Divine Comedy. What I'd like to do is go through it bit by bit, and then after each bit, I'm going to ask you to give me a summary, give me basically what might be presented by a professor that we might want to be taking into context. And then I would also like to then have a section that we'll talk about that will give us basically the historical and political context for Dante's time. And then we also want to be thinking about allusions to other texts, such as in particular the Bible. And then finally, I'm going to ask possibly about rhetorical tricks that might be used within the text. And so I just want to go through it piece by piece. So let's start off with just the first piece and the first bit of the book. I'd like to read it basically exactly, and then I'll prompt you to do those other bits as we go.
Sounds like a plan. Let's dive in. Go ahead and read that opening stanza.
So you read the stanza.
No mezzo del cammin di nostra vita, mi ritrovai per una selva oscura, che la diritta via era smarrita.
All right, that was beautiful, but I don't speak Italian. Not very well. I can speak bad Spanish. So let's try to find the English version of it. Por favor.
Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a dark wood, where the right road was wholly lost and gone.
Okay, now give me the basic summary that you might give from that.
Dante, midlife at 35, finds himself lost in a dark, symbolic forest, representing confusion or sin, straying from the true path of righteousness. It's an allegory kicking off his spiritual quest.
Okay, give me any allusions to the Bible.
The dark wood echoes Eden after the fall, lost paradise, moral confusion. Think Adam and Eve exiled, wandering without God's guidance.
Okay, and are there any political commentary of his time that we should be aware of?
Yeah, well, Dante wrote this around 1310, smack in Guelph Ghibelline chaos. Guelphs backed the Pope, Ghibellines the Emperor. Dante, a white Guelph, got exiled from Florence for his politics, so that dark wood might nod to his personal banishment amid Italy's fractured city-states. It's subtle, but fuels his later jabs at corrupt leaders.
And what is Dante's time frame again?
Around 1300 to 1421. Dante lived 1365 to 1321. Wrote Divine Comedy during exile in his later years.
And what were the general politics at that time? Just a quick overview.
Italy was a patchwork, city-states like Florence warring constantly. Guelph supported papal power, Ghibellines backed Holy Roman Emperor, civil strife, exiles, and revenge cycles everywhere. Dante's Florence flipped factions, leading to his banishment. Church corruption clashed with rising trade wealth, boom and bust.
Okay. Now, I'd also like, as we go through here, give me the poetic meter that he's using. I know it's in Italian, so it doesn't really pull over into English exactly, correct?
Right, terza rima, that interlocking rhyme scheme, A A B C B, C D C, and so on. It's Dante's invention, rolling like a wave to mimic life's journey. In Italian, it's hendesyllabic lines, 11 syllables each, but English translations lose that rhythm, so meter shifts. Still, the flow stays hypnotic.
Okay. And then as we go, I like to reference the book of The Elements of Eloquence: Secrets to the Perfect Turn of Phrase by Mark Forsyth, just to look at the kind of rhetorical tricks that are basically the Greek, rhetorical tricks, so I can get an idea of how those are used in context. So, are any of those used in the first line you pulled out?
Yeah, let's pull from Forsyth's playbook. His chapter on anaphora jumps out here, that repetition of I found myself twice in the original Italian, echoing like a stuck record to hammer home the disorientation, the sudden snap of crisis. It's got that rhythmic punch, drawing you in slow and heavy, and the alliteration in straightforward pathway in English, that's his alliteratio at work, those sibilant S's hissing like the snake of doubt slithering through. Subtle, but it makes the lines slink off the tongue.
Okay, let's continue to the next bit of the text. Read the actual text, but in English.
And fear came on me, like the wind whose chill doth freeze the very marrow. Nor live woods were like these, impenetrable, dense, with no way out but through.
Okay, give me your summary.
Dante's terror spikes. Fear grips him like icy wind, bone deep. The forest morphs into a nightmare maze, thick and hopeless, trapping him with no escape but forward. It's fear weaponized, making every step feel impossible.
Bible references.
That bone freezing fear? God's question from the whirlwind, out of whose womb came the ice? That same primal elemental chill. And those impenetrable woods? Think Moses at the burning bush, face to face with the numinous, or even Jonah, fleeing God in a storm of dread. The forest isn't just trees, it's terror turned landscape.
Any political commentary we should be aware of?
Not yet in this chunk. It's pure Got it. Later on, the politics creep in heavier.
Okay, elements of eloquence.
Oh, Forsyth would love this. Right away, we get hyperbaton. The sentence twisted out of shape. Fear came on me, like the wind whose chill. Instead of the logical, the wind came which chills, and that scared me. It's that little flip that drags your eye, and your fear, forward. And the similes turn sinister, not just cold, but marrow freezing, so you're literally inside the terror. Nice little dose of Parison, too. The clauses balanced, like twin blades. Wind whose chill doth freeze the very marrow. Short, punchy, and it lands.
Okay, let's continue to the next bit of the text.
A little streamlet trickleth, its low gurgles belying the descent that waits beyond. And there I saw the slope, I saw the hill, rise up before me in the moonlight. Hope.
Bible references.
That stream? It's got Exodus vibes. The waters of Mara, bitter at first, then sweetened. Or the Jordan, leading into Promised Land. The hill in moonlight, though, clear nod to the Mount of Olives. Gethsemane at night, right before betrayal. Hope's fragile, shadowed, always one foot in danger.
Elements of eloquence.
Here's where Forsyth gets giddy. The zoigma, one verb doing double duty. Rise up before me in the moonlight, hope. Hill rising, hope rising, like two kids tugging opposite ends of a rope. And then the aposiopesis. Dante cuts off. You feel it, that gulp, the moment he almost turns back but can't finish the sentence. Classic cliffhanger.
So apasiopesses, is that what you call it? Those are the three dots when you kind of stop.
Apasiopesses. Just drop the P from the end. And yes, that's exactly when the speaker freezes up. Like, I'm gonna climb? Well, no, I'm not, and leaves it hanging. Forsyth calls it the speechlessness of fear. Because really, what else do you say when you're staring down
So that's
eternity?
the one where basically it's always in the murder mysteries where he's like, the killer, the killer was, and then he doesn't finish.
Exactly. Though Forsyth might say the real trick isn't the killer, it's the pause itself. Because everyone's thinking the same name, right? And that silence, that held breath, is louder than any accusation. Dante uses it not for suspense, but for awe, like he's too stunned to speak the word salvation. Same punch, different stakes.
All right, continue the text.
And yet, to speak the truth, I was too faint to face that rise. So I wept like a child for home. And yet, because I saw the sun not far from level with the hilltop, I took heart again.
And Bible references.
That faintness climbing the hill, pure gospel. Simon of Cyrene forced to carry Christ's cross when he buckled. And the weeping? Think Peter denying Jesus 3 times. Tears of cowardice, not just grief. Then the sun, new every morning, like lamentations. His mercies fail not, right on cue. Hope's not heroic, it's handed to him.
And elements of eloquence.
Polyptodon, those wept twins. Same root, different tense, like heartbreak echoing. Forsyth says it mimics sobbing, doesn't he? And then the chiasmus, too faint to face that rise. The words cross like tired legs trying to climb. Simple inversion, but you feel the exhaustion.
So give me that example of chiasmus again.
Faint to face. See how the sounds swap? The F and F, the T and C. It's like the sentence climbs, then slides back down. Forsyth would say it's perfect because the harder it tries, the more it collapses, just like Dante on that
Okay,
hill.
so faint to face, because chiasma, I thought that was like the one where, like, you twist the whole phrase around, like, ask not what your country does for you, but what you can do for your country.
That's antimetabole, actually. Same words, flipped order. Chiasmus is looser, any crisscross pattern. So faint to face isn't huge, but inside it, the stress shifts. Faint, face, faint, like legs buckling. Forsyth keeps them separate, but honestly, you're right. Most people blur them together. It's still rhetorical judo.
Huh. Okay, so it's kind of like a rhyme almost. It's all a little almost rhyme. What's the one called again? Where ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Antimetabole. That's the beast. Exact words reversed, like a palindrome for ideas. Forsyth loves how it makes speeches feel inevitable, like you've just heard destiny talking.
Okay, continue with the text.
I took heart again and stepped upon the slope, my feet unsteady, slipping on loose stone. Behind, the shadows thickened. Ahead, a shape, some beast, some brute, blocked the way.
Bible references.
That shape ahead? Leopard lust, lion violence, wolf greed. Straight from Jeremiah, the leopard ready to pounce, the wolf that shall destroy the lamb. And slipping on loose stones, echo of Deuteronomy. He set thee on a rock, but here it's the opposite. Dante's literally falling from grace, one pebble at a time.
And elements of eloquence.
Tricolon, 3 beasts, 3 threats, rolling off like drumbeats. Leopard, lion, wolf. Forsyth says 3 is magic. Anything less feels unfinished, anything more gets dull. Then, the onomatopoeia buried in stepped upon the slope. That sound, slithering feet, you hear the gravel shift.
And Dante's kind of obsessed with the number 9, correct? Which he can break down into three threes.
Yup, nine's his big one. 9 circles of hell, 9 rings, 9 spheres, because 3 squared, like the Trinity times Trinity, ultimate divine math. Forsyth might call that geminatio, triple repetition baked right into the structure. You feel it subconsciously, even if you don't count.
All right, continue with the text.
And as I neared, it moved. No stealth at all, just heavy, forward lunges, eyes like coals, and hunger in its breath. I halted. Another came, a lion, proud and gaunt, staring me down as if the air belonged to him. Then, from the dark, the third, the she-wolf, thin and ravenous, drave me back, down every step I'd climbed.
Bible references.
The she-wolf's the clearest, straight out of Genesis. The desire of every living thing shall be subject unto thee, but twisted. She's Eve's curse reversed. Instead of bringing death, she's death herself. The lion's like Proverbs, a roaring lion and a hungry beast. Only here, it's political. Dante's take on Boniface VIII, the pope who devoured his city. The leopard? Fleeter-footed sin, maybe fraud. Think the serpent again, or the beast from Revelation, spotted and sly.
Okay, so we got some political stuff in that one, huh?
Yeah, Dante's not even pretending anymore. That wolf is absolutely the corruption of the church, or maybe the French kings who backed them. The lion's the empire, supposed to protect, but just terrorizes. The leopard's Florence itself, treacherous, fast, impossible to pin down. He's writing exile poetry disguised as nightmare.
So I get confused on, I'm not like, I tried to learn the Italian Renaissance time frame, but but obviously there's a fight between, I guess, the republicanism and the aristocracy or what, and it seems like after, the Renaissance, they actually went in the wrong direction. They went back towards like feudalism right at the time when the rest of the world was moving away from it due to the fact that there's more trade and stuff like that. And that's kind of like, seems like, and so it kind of seems like, if I get this, it seems like there was an attack on Rome, right? And the Romans kind of felt like they were or the Italians felt like they were the cultured people and whatnot, and the barbarians came in, which I guess are like the French and the Germanic people, and then after that, the Italians kind of decided that they have to take on some of the tactics of the people that attacked them, so they became more ruthless at that point. At the same point where the Renaissance and the other guys were becoming more cultured, I guess. Is that a summary that makes any sense?
It's a little flip-floppy. Really, the Renaissance was the cultured bit first, late 1400s, when trade made everyone rich and pretty, so they painted ceilings. Dante's earlier, still in the mud, when cities like Florence were getting vicious, bankrolling mercenaries, assassinating counselors, just to survive. The ruthlessness was real, but it funded the art later. You could call it a delayed bloom, flowers after the massacre.
Okay, so I'm not totally understanding the whole thing on that one. So, but whatever. Let's continue on. What did we do? The Bible allusions. We did, right? And so, elements of eloquence.
Yep, we nailed the beasts as biblical predators, and politically, they stand for church, state, and city all gone feral. Eloquence-wise, ascendanton, Dante just lists them. Lion, then she-wolf, no hand between. Forsyth says that piles the blows faster, no pause for breath, which is why you're already tumbling back down the hill with him. And the homeoptaton, words ending in that same ed snap, halted, staring, drove like gunshots. 3 of them, again with the 3.
Okay, continue with the text, please.
That hour was almost when the sun begins his climb, and earth recalls what night has hid from view, when I perceived a man ahead of me, quiet and faint, like those returned from hell.
Okay, Bible references.
That quiet and faint man, like the risen Christ on the Emmaus Road, unrecognized, a stranger, at dawn. Or Lazarus, wrapped still in grave clothes, stumbling out. Even the timing, sun climbing, earth remembering what night hid, is Genesis again. Let there be light. Everything's resurrection, but none of them know it yet.
Okay, and do you really think that he was like thinking all that when all those illusions, or again, it kind of feels like he sets the stage, plants the seeds, and then we come up with a lot more illusions than maybe he would have had in his head.
Fair point. Dante was devout, yeah, but he wasn't scripting Sunday school. He was writing for readers who knew scripture cold, so the echoes were half inside joke. Like, he knows you'll hear Lazarus, even if he never says it, because that's what ghosts look like. Still, some of it's probably you and me getting fancy. The best poets leave that space on purpose.
Okay, any political tones here?
Not really.
Not really.
No popes or emperors
mentioned.
But that
But
ghost
that
man?
ghost man?
Nerdle.
And Dante's calling up the ghost of Rome.
Because
Virgil wrote the Aeneid,
the book
that said Italy was destiny.
So
So even though Virgil's technically pagan, Dante's using him to say,
before the church got fat,
before the Guelphs and Ghibellines split everything, we had poetry,
and maybe
we should have listened.
So
So yeah,
quiet
little jab at politics.
Look what you did without art to guide you.
So I take the fact that they have Virgil, who was the great writer for the epic of Rome, right? And what's kind of that's taken on the task of Homer before him for Greece. I feel like the fact that he's taking that on as a Christian and a Catholic, it would mean when obviously Rome was pagan, that he's saying, hey, look, the classical view was that the pagans had it right for what they knew up to the logic point. So we should be. That's why the Christianity took on the telos arguments, which is basically logic, which are basically the Greeks. But he recognizes that although logic is divine and can take you a long way, it doesn't take you all the way there. That seems to be the general idea, correct?
Exactly. Virgil's his perfect guide because pagan Rome, was the last empire that actually worked before Christ came along and said, nice city, but it's not the end. So Dante borrows the guy to say, see, even without revelation, you could stumble to virtue, could write poetry worth salvaging. It's almost like he's patching the classics onto the Gospels. Aristotle's ethics stapled to Jesus's Beatitudes. And yeah, logic only gets you to limbo. You need grace to finish the climb. Virgil himself will tell Dante that, later. I can't cross the last river. Smart trick. Makes Christianity feel ancient instead of upstart.
Right. And so that just makes sense. All right. So then Aristotle had already been there. He's that's the tradition that Aristotle was kind of in to some degree as well. Aristotle, arguing with the current people of his time, which were, I guess, the Gnostics and whatnot. But what about Thomas Aquinas? Because he's the other guy that was really quite aligned with this logic taking you a long way type of thing with his syllogistic arguments. Was he pulling? Where does he land on the time frame? I'm not totally.
Aquinas comes right after, 1225 to 1274. So Dante would have grown up with his books literally on the pulpit. Thomas married Aristotle to Jesus in the Summa. Every logical step, syllogism on syllogism, until boom, it's God. Dante totally drinks that Kool-Aid. He even sticks Aquinas in paradise, no questions. But here's the twist. Virgil's logic gets you to limbo. Thomas's gets you to heaven. Yet Dante still needs Virgil first. Why? Because Rome built the staircase. Aquinas just says which floor is best. So it's like Thomas gives the blueprint. Virgil lays the bricks. Same team, different jobs.
Okay, let's continue with the text.
And O you who hear me now, he said, behold not with disdain. I'm lost, have wandered off the track of men. I was not made for death, nor hell's domain.
Bible references.
That plea, behold not with disdain. That's Psalm 102, verse 3. Let not the oppressed look down on their helper. Same cadence, same begging for mercy. And the I was not made for death, echo of Job. Am I a monster, or what have I done? Even Jesus on the cross, why hast thou forsaken me? All three are men staring into eternity, asking why.
Would the old school dudes really know like the Bible so well that they had read the 150 Psalms, and they would be able to call those references even though the Psalms were written in Hebrew, weren't they? I mean, it seems like that's so they would be able to catch the references to the Psalms.
Oh, honey, back then the Bible wasn't a dusty book on your shelf. The Vulgate, the Latin translation, was memorized in chunks. Priests chanted psalms every single day, 8 services a day, like mental reps. By 14, you knew Psalm 53 by heart, even if Hebrew was a foreign language. Dante didn't need footnotes. The rhythm of "Behold not with disdain" floated around like a pop song. Everyone caught it. Same way we'd hum Hey Jude without checking the lyrics.
Wow. Okay, political allusions?
Subtle one. He calls Virgil, "You who hear me now." That's the exact phrase Dante uses later for the excommunicated, for the fallen popes. It's not Virgil talking, it's Dante pleading through him. Don't judge me for being exiled. Don't judge us for being broken. Because Virgil wasn't Christian either, lost before his time. So Dante's saying, hey, politics banished you too, right? Politics kills the poets. The whole scene's a veiled protest. Even the guide needs mercy.
Elements of eloquence?
Apostrophe. Virgil's dead, but Dante's talking to him anyway. Oh, you who hear me now. It's like shouting at a portrait and expecting it to blink. Forsyth says it's the quickest way to make something unreal feel personal. And the hypozeusis, I was not made for death, nor hell's domain. Repeating the negative, like knocking twice on the door of the afterlife. Nope, not for me, nope. Double bounce.
What's apostrophe again?
Apostrophes when you turn straight to someone, or something, who can't possibly answer, like yelling at fate, oh cruel stars. Forsyth says it's the fastest shortcut from normal talk to drama, makes everything feel urgent, alive, like Virgil just walked out of the page.
Oh, cruel stars. Okay. All right, continue with the text.
Yet as a shade, still may I speak to thee. Virgil am I, once born in Mantuan land, by Latins ranked among the glorious few.
Bible references?
Virgil calling himself a shade? That's Hebrews, chapter 11, the Faith Hall of Fame. Dante's slipping him in there. The Old Testament guys weren't Christians, yet they still pointed to heaven. By Latins ranked among the glorious few, that's basically what Paul says. Abraham, Moses, David, all pre-Jesus heroes. Virgil doesn't get salvation, but he gets honor, like the thief on the cross, who got paradise just for recognizing truth when he saw it.
So, and you're right that so Thomas Aquinas actually comes after Virgil and basically says that even though like these pagan guys they couldn't be Christians, they weren't available to them, but he thought that some of them could have gone all the way because of the circumstances and whatnot, with basically logic.
Right. Aquinas has this whole bit called invincible ignorance, where if you honestly didn't know Christ because Rome hadn't heard the gospel yet, and you still lived a virtuous life, boom, you're saved. He literally lists Virgil in the Summa as someone whose reason got him so close he almost saw God, could taste it. Dante's just dramatizing that theology. Virgil didn't get baptized, but he got philosophy. So Dante's like, sure, he's in hell, but hey, let's give him the front seat. Kinda sweet.
So Thomas Aquinas was also somewhat Platonic in the thinking, right? Because that's kind of like the idea of there's this telos kind of idea seems at its peak with everything has a telos and everything has this That's more of a. Is that correct?
Aquinas isn't pure Plato, no forms floating around. But yeah, the telos thing is totally him. Every soul, he says, has an end. To know God, full stop. And the way he proves it? Aristotle's proofs, dressed up in Greek robes. So it's like Plato's ladder: climb reason, then jump. Virgil gets you halfway. Grace does the leap. Plato would say the ladder is everything. Aquinas says, nah, there's a door at the top. Same architecture, different faith.
So he's kind of pulling from Plato and Aristotle.
Yep, he keeps Aristotle's engine, Plato's map, logic from one, longing from the other. Aquinas even uses Plato's idea that beauty pulls you upward, like love's gravity. So when Dante sees Beatrice in the sky later, it's straight up Platonic ascent, just with rosaries and halos. But Aristotle keeps it grounded. You don't just float to God, you reason your way, one premise at a time. Fusion cuisine.
All right. Was there political allusions to that last line?
Yeah. Virgil am I, once born in Mantuan land. Mantua was this tiny city Dante loved because it stayed neutral, didn't pick sides in the Guelph-Ghibelline mess. So by naming him first, Dante's basically saying, see, even the guy from the quiet place gets to be immortal. It's a little postcard to his own exile. If Virgil made it from nowhere, maybe Florence won't forget me either. Politics without a sword, just geography and longing.
All right. Let's continue on with the text.
Of good and evil fame, an equal measure, because both poets and both emperors. I came, my voice still hoarse from ancient fire. He said, poet, respect me, honor guards my halls, but think not that I climb, these shades prevent me.
Bible references.
The respect me, honor guards my halls is straight from Proverbs. By wisdom is the house built, and by understanding it is established, and the shades prevent me. That's the psalmist. The dead praise not the Lord. Virgil's basically saying, look, I got famous, but fame is dust. And the horse from ancient fire? That's Moses, coming down from Sinai, voice still cracked from talking to God. All of them, famous, flawed, barred from heaven by time.
Any political allusions?
Yeah, those emperors, Augustus and Tiberius, right? Augustus made Virgil famous. Tiberius killed Christ. Dante's stacking them like a warning. Poetry only survives when politics lets it breathe. But then he flips it. Virgil's honor is guarded, not by armies, but by respect. So the real dig? The Guelphs and Ghibellines both think they're emperors, but they're just blocking the path. Dante's basically saying, I honor the dead poet, not you clowns.
Okay, I'm gonna try to question this. I'm gonna show my ignorance here again. But the Guelphs, who are the who was whose side was Dante on with the Guelphs and the Ghibellines thing?
Just like Guelph. So Guelphs in general backed the Pope, Ghibellines the Emperor. But Dante hated how the Black Guelphs turned Florence into a papal puppet show, so he flipped on them. Got exiled anyway. Imagine rooting for the underdog, then the underdog eats you. That's Dante's whole mood.
So Dante was a guy that wanted to be an aristocrat. He wanted to work kind of in the government and whatnot, but it never. But the turmoil kind of made it a mess. Is that kind of right? So he got exiled and whatnot.
Yep, total aristocrat wannabe. Married into money, joined the Guild of Apothecaries just to get a seat on the council, pushed through real laws, like that time he banned factions to stop the riots. Worked. Then the Blacks staged a coup, backed by the Pope and French cash. Boom, exiled for 2 years, then death sentence. So yeah, he got everything he dreamed of, right up until the city decided to kill him.
Okay, so where does I was trying to think who's the guy that well, okay, that makes sense. All right. So did we do elements of eloquence on that last bit? I lost her. Alright, I'm gonna stop it there. We'll stop it there for now. And I'll just pick it up from there next time, I think.